Oh, watermelon chitlins, biscuits, and grits. It's another early Kwanzaa. Oh, Ignited, the little book that couldn't. Mark Waid and Kwanzaa Sajefa are back with a 5th issue because all the other issues sold so well. Oh, wait. I swear I thought this was going to be a 4-issue miniseries, but apparently it's an ongoing series that only 2 people are buying, me and Richard Challenge Meyer. To say this book bombed is an understatement. I did a whole video about how bad this book sold, which I'll link below. Nobody is interested in this book. It's completely fallen off the radar, and the reason is because nobody wants to read about superpowered terrorists. That's what this book is about. A bunch of teens get superpowers after a school shooting, don't argue with it, and they decide that the best way to use their powers is to terrorize their fellow students and teachers, and then attack anyone who disagrees with their far-left politics. That's actually what happens in the book, but apparently Wade and Kwanzaa forgot this. In their little recap of the story, they write, quote, "In Phoenix, Arizona, a group of teenagers gained super abilities during a mass shooting at Phoenix Academy High School. @viral and @wave. Just real quick, what is with the @ No teenager I know talks like that. They would never name themselves with an @ unless it was meant to be pronounced as an A, and nobody's calling themselves @viral or @wave. It would make sense if these were actually Instagram or Twitter names, but I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on here, so it just looks like 2 old people who don't get the Twitter. Anyway, quote, @viral and @wave were the first to inspire activism. If by activism you mean terrorism, yes, they were the first to do that. They poisoned the teachers and staff when they didn't agree to these terrorist demands that these folks opposed giving teachers guns. This apparently went over well with the other students just returning to school after a mass shooting. No students had a problem with it. They were quickly joined by @mashup, @paperdoll, and Anouk Labari, whose powers have yet to fully reveal themselves. Hey, I can hear you yawning here in Chicago. I know it sounds boring and lazy, but this is literally the best Kwanzaa can do. And Mark Waid just has to make it look presentable. Don't worry, we're about to get to the good bit. Quote, "At the March for Mercy, pro and anti-gun demonstrators gathered to support or oppose the school's new policy about arming teachers. Knowing things could get out of hand, the superpowered teens arrived in costume to keep the peace." That's not what happened. Here are the protesters, just shouting at each other. Nobody's attacking anyone. Nobody's pointing guns at anyone. They're just yelling at each other. Totally non-violent until the leader of the Antifa wannabes, the GIMP, spots some pro-gun people getting off a bus and randomly attacks a guy. Notice how some of them, including the guy who got attacked, have rifles, but no one shoots the GIMP. No one threatens the GIMP. No one even points their rifle at the GIMP. They do nothing but say, "What the fuck was that?" To which Lucy Liu decides to attack people just watching what's going on. They did nothing and she's fucking with them. So then the police see what's happening and go to check it out, and they attack the cops. The reporters try to record this, and the Antifa wannabes attack the reporters. Now people start defending themselves, and what do? These would-be heroes who started several fights begin attacking everyone, all while complaining that it's getting out of hand. They were not there to keep the peace. They literally started the fighting totally unprovoked. Amid the chaos, Anouk found herself drawn to Marisol Flores, a fellow student in the crowd whose rage was bubbling over. That's not what happened either. White bitch stalked Pinche Puka. She kept following her and bugging her even though the girl was like, no means no, except when it means maybe and yes. There's nothing on the page that says that this girl is about to lose her shit aside from white bitch driving her nuts. Convincing her to help, you mean harassing her to sheer frustration. Marisol unleashed her powers. Excuse me, that's bad grammar. You said convincing her. Her is Marisol. So Marisol convinced herself? No, that's not what you meant. You need to actually add in Anouk's name for the sentence to make sense, like, with Anouk having convinced her to help, Marisol unleashed her powers. That's the proper way to write that sentence. Kwanzaa. Because this wasn't a Mark Waid thing, that's you. Kwanzaa. Write it that way. Anyway, Marisol unleashed her powers and helped turn the tide and avoid casualties. Yes, because nobody was injured during this attack. Nope. And you're totally not going to have Pinche Puka tell people to stay away because she might accidentally hurt them later on in the book. Nope. Not going to happen. Inspired by their success. Yeah, that totally doesn't sound like they're gloating about a terrorist attack. The Phoenix Six are now ready to change the world, whether the world likes it or not. Humanity first. None for all for me. Jesus Christ. And this is just the intro page. We ain't even in the book yet. What a mess. So the book begins with the Gimp healing some sick kid, but don't let that fool you. He's a proper asshole. And the moment that kid says something he doesn't like, he'll bring that cancer back faster than Mark Waid will threaten an Asian comic book creator. Then it jumps to a gun show where the narrator says, this place will sell a gun to anybody. No ID, no background, no permit. Yes, that's typically how flea markets work, genius. Unless you're a licensed dealer, you're allowed to set up a booth at a gun show and sell guns from your private collection. In that case, you're not legally required or expected to do a background check any more than you would need to do this to sell your knife collection. You own it, so you can sell it to whomever you want. You may not like this because of how it makes it seem so easy for the so-called wrong people to get a gun. However, that doesn't mean you or anyone else gets to destroy people's property to stop them from making a legal sale or purchase. Who the fuck do you people think you are? Why is it that far too often the progressive power fantasy involves in using their powers to control and oppress other people? Great hero material. But my favorite heroic endeavor is when Pinche Puta attacks the ICE agents. Picture the scene. A Spanish-speaking family is taking a glorious walk in the park when ICE agents jump out the bushes like a male feminist in the women's restroom. Give it him titties. I need them for my transition. No context is given for the scene, just random Spanish speakers arrested because they didn't produce their papers. The irony is that both Waid and Kwanzaa like to write this propagandist bullshit, so I genuinely can't tell which one of them wrote this. Then Pinche Puta shows up and attacks the ICE agents, who are literally just doing their job. If you're in the country illegally, they have every legal right to detain you. But it gets better because neither we, the audience, or Pinche Puta the terrorist know anything about this couple. They could be involved in all sorts of shit, but Little Miss Busybody just assumes the ICE agents are in the wrong. Then she says, Vámonos. You know, you have access to one of the greatest tools ever created, the internet. So whenever you want to have a character speak a language you don't speak, you can look it up to make sure it's correct. Unless you're Waid and Kwanzaa. If you're them, you put this in print. Vámonos. V-A-M-A-N-O-S. That may be what it sounds like, but that's not how it's spelled. It's spelled V-A-M-O-N-O-S. It's one of the nosotros forms of the irregular verb ir, which is why it doesn't look anything like it. Now, I remember this because it drove me fucking nuts in my Spanish class, but either of you two could have found this out by searching online to check your fucking spelling of bastardos perezosos. Hell, when you do a search, you get tons of examples showing the correct spelling, so all I can assume is that no one involved with the book bothered to look it up. Perfecto. But not as perfect as this. Pinche Puta checks in and says, I got rid of him. And the response she gets back, and look at the screen so you see I'm not making this up. This is in the book. In print, in the book. The person says, nice job, Terror. Terror. Her code name is Terror, T-E-R-R-O-R. Remember how Mark Waid lost his shit and nuked his Facebook account because I said that these characters are terrorists? Well, he wrote this after that happened. So he and Kwanzaa know people think these characters are terrorists, so they name knockoff Alana Torres Terror. Ay, Dios mío. Anyway, it goes back to present time, and White Bitch goes to talk to Señorita Terror, and then we get a flashback of when she gives Señorita Terror her mask. Then we cut to knockoff Alex Jones stating the truth. They're terrorists. These anti-American vigilantes are posting their crimes all over BoobTube. The police, government, not doing a damn thing. Well, when you put it like that, it really does seem like these jackasses need to be arrested. Then someone calls in talking about how the Gimp healed their sister, and that doesn't change anything because as we're about to see, the Gimp is an asshole. So the wannabe Antifa crew need a place to meet, and Señorita Terror suggests the mall. The mall? The mall? Did you just fall out of a 1980s time warp? The mall? Fucking malls. Nobody goes to the mall. Teenagers stopped going to the mall before I was a teenager. By 96, the mall was done. Done, son. The mall. You can just tell this was written by two old men who don't know anyone under 30. Hey, let's go to the mall. Then we're gonna go to the arcade and then we're gonna swing around to the soda pop fountain. We're gonna catch one of those talkies too. I hear they're very good. Let me just telegram Ethel and Ezekiel. The mall. You're watching way too much Stranger Things. Anyway, all these assheads get into a fight because someone tailed them to the house and then doxes them by text, which he sends to all their phones. They all panic, which is weird since they've really done fuck all to hide their identities. That's even mentioned in the scene, where White Bitch tells Discount Lestat to change his clothes so that he'll be less identifiable, as if that exposed tattoo wasn't the real problem. So the Gimp gets pissy with the Black Ghost because his power is to tap into technology, but the boy didn't notice anything about them being doxed. He's been distracted because he's basically fading away and no one seems to be paying attention to him when he tries to say this. Oddly enough, he's suddenly able to speak and be heard in this issue. Previously, he could only communicate via text messages. Maybe a couple of days have passed since their attack on the protest, so this sudden change really makes no sense. And neither does Senorita Terra flipping out on the Gimp. So for context, when the dude on the bike drives away and sends the text, the Gimp says to the Black Ghost, "Shay, why didn't you get that fucker?" To which Senorita Terra says, "Why are you blaming him, fuckboy?" Wow, that escalated fast. Shay has kind of been handling this stuff from behind the scenes, so it makes sense for the Gimp to ask how he missed it. Little Miss Terror, however, has no reason to react like this. She doesn't know any of them, doesn't know the situation, and really has no reason to be so angry. So then they argue about who's in charge, and when Discount Lestat says that the Gimp is the leader, and Lucy Liu says, "Your leader," he asks what that means, and White Bitch says, "It means we can't just jump some rando, okay?" Really? Cause that didn't stop you before. Literally every person y'all attacked has been some rando, just people minding their own business when you little terrorists rain hell upon them. But now you have a conscience. Or are you just being careful because Mr. Leatherman has all your info, so if you fuck with him, everyone will know who you are? Then the Gimp, taking the situation seriously, says, "We've been doxed, you daft arse." So Senorita Terra slams him into the fucking window and calls him pendejo. Seriously, Balana, enhance your calm. But my favorite part is that they add a caption white-splaining what pendejo means. 2 points. 1. You were willing to look up the Spanish insult, but not the Spanish verb. 2. I thought you were stretching out all the cuss words. I mean, that's what you do in the caption. So it's okay to call someone an asshole in Spanish and show the word, but you can't do it in English? And this is the line for Senorita Terra. Don't call someone a daft ass, but it's totally cool for her to call someone pendejo and fuckboy. Then the Gimp gets pissed and says he's going to give her a world-class case of the clap, proving he is indeed an asshole. These are supposed to be our heroes. We're supposed to root for them, but here they are bickering like the spoiled upper-class trust fund babies they truly are, and then the Gimp, the would-be leader, just turns and drops all the insults on White Bitch, like he's been holding it back this whole time. Finally, Shay screams for them to shut up because he's disappearing, like anyone knew you were there. He's like, "I'm dying, well go ahead." No one cares. Literally no one cares. This book continues to wallow in pointlessness. Whatever the message was supposed to be is completely lost in this stew of shitty characters, and in true SJW fashion, once Wade and Kwanzaa blew their progressive load in the first 4 issues, they have nothing left. You made your point, I think, so now you're spent. What more do we need to see with these characters? What other shit are they gonna fuck up? Had y'all not done all these flash forward scenes showing the characters terrorizing other people, you could at least built up to that. But now that you're giving that away, the only real question left is how do they get caught? And you're just wasting Phil Briones. He could be doing something way more interesting than this. Instead, he's stuck drawing half-assed propaganda. Now in fairness, this isn't the worst book I've ever read, but it's clear that Wade is phoning it in, and Kwanzaa is being Kwanzaa. So it's just meh. If not for the pro-terrorism narrative in the book, it wouldn't even be worth reviewing. Speaking of which, since this video is probably demonetized, feel free to drop $1 in my Patreon or Ko-Fi account. Links in the description below. I'd at least like to get my $4 back from buying this book, so I can spend it when I go to see that shitty movie I've been conned into seeing because I owe someone a favor. It's not a fair trade, but I'm a man of my word, so in advance, fuck the Rise of Skywalker.